or cassettes, or $16.98 for compact disc, plus $3 shipping. Use your credit card or send check or money order to Ann Murray, P.O. Box 8250, Atlanta, Georgia. Remember, save COD charges by sending check or money order or use your credit card.
This is CNN.
This is Worldwide Update, news without borders.
U.S. Secretary of State James Baker goes calling in Jordan, looking for a missing key component of planned peace talks.
UN officials say they can destroy Iraq's known missiles within 1 month, but it is Iraq's ability to conceal weapons that concerns officials.
For years, gray, polluted skies were hidden behind the Iron Curtain. The challenge now is breathing new life into a foul environment.
Hello and welcome. This is Worldwide Update. I'm Dave Michaels.
And I'm Rick Moore. Topping our report, U.S. Secretary of State James Baker has worked for more than half a year trying to assemble participants for a Middle East peace conference. Baker says he should know soon whether talks will take place as expected this month. The wild card in all this is Palestinian representation. Baker is urging Palestinians to seize the moment and agree on a delegation. If not, he warned, they may lose their last chance at being heard. CNN's Ralph Begleiter has more.
U.S. Secretary of State James Baker had hoped to see Jordan and the Palestinians already setting up a joint delegation to take part in the Middle East Peace Conference. But there's only a week to go before invitations to the conference are issued.
The bus is not going to come by again. And Palestinians have more to gain from this process and more to lose in its absence than do anybody else.
Palestinian leaders with whom Baker met last week in Washington say they'll talk with Jordanian officials in Amman Tuesday about a joint delegation. The PLO is planning yet another high-level meeting this week to debate the peace conference. Baker has threatened before to proceed with plans for the peace conference by the end of this month to prevent Middle Easterners from dragging out the pre-talks bargaining. With Egypt's President Hosni Mubarak at his side, Baker warned the Palestinians and others they cannot expect to have every one of their concerns settled before they sit down to negotiate with Israel.
There are some that we may not ultimately be able to resolve with any degree of finality, but at some point we will have to consider the issuance of invitations.
U.S. officials say Presidents Bush and Gorbachev will issue invitations to the peace conference no later than next Monday. That would give Israel, Egypt, Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, and the Palestinians 10 days to decide if they'll attend. Syrian President Hafez Assad, the most important Arab player, recently changed his stand on part of the peace conference plan. But Egypt's President Mubarak insists Assad still plans to take part.
And I think he's eager and is keen to attend the peace conference.
Baker is traveling the Middle East this week, shopping around texts of the invitations and wrapping up letters containing the ground rules of the peace conference. Soviet Foreign Minister Boris Pankin will see Baker on Friday in Jerusalem, where, as a prelude to the peace conference, Israel and the Soviet Union are to restore full diplomatic relations for the first time since the 1967 Middle East War. The peace conference is expected to begin at the very end of October. Speculation about where it will be held centers on the Swiss town of Lausanne, where a 1949 Middle East conference was held after the creation of the State of Israel. Ralph Begleiter, CNN, with the U.S. Secretary of State in Amman, Jordan.
In Lebanon, a Shiite Muslim group claims to have kidnapped an Israeli soldier to be used as trade bait for Arab prisoners. But Israeli army officials say they cannot confirm that claim. An anonymous caller claiming to speak for Hezbollah Palestine made the kidnapping allegation to Western news agencies. Since August, the UN Secretary General has been working to arrange a large-scale swap involving Western hostages, Israeli-held Arab prisoners, and missing Israeli soldiers.
Weapons experts are reportedly alarmed at how far along Iraq was in its efforts to build a hydrogen bomb as well as atomic bombs. According to the New York Times, intelligence analysts may have underestimated the sophistication of the Iraqi bomb program. Some of that information came from the documents United Nations inspectors seized in Baghdad last month. However, U.S. officials tell CNN the Iraqis removed files just hours before the inspectors arrived, and the U.S. may not know the full extent of Iraq's ability to build nuclear weapons. UN inspectors in Iraq say they expect to destroy all of Iraq's known Scud missiles within a month. However, the U.S. believes Iraq hit as many as 200 Scuds in the desert sands. In Iraq, President Saddam Hussein is declaring a new war, this one against the sanctions slapped on his country after his troops invaded Kuwait. CNN's Doug James is there.
Children's Day in Baghdad, another opportunity for Iraq to claim its kids are dying because of the United Nations economic embargo, and to demand that the sanctions be lifted.
They link the fate of millions of Iraqi children to a political game. It is a political halu-balu.
In the face of worldwide sanctions, President Saddam Hussein remains defiant. He made a rare appearance on the weekend, addressing a gathering of supporters from other Arab countries. The Iraqi leader described the sanctions as cruel, unprecedented in world history, but he said the embargo would not force him out of office or change his government's policies.
Let it be clear to you that Iraq can live under the siege for 20 years to come without asking anybody for anything.
Earlier, Deputy Premier Tariq Aziz told Arab journalists he believes the United States will eventually lose its resolve in the ongoing battle with Iraq.
The United States won the war, but that's not the end of the world. We still have time and a chance.
But on the streets of Baghdad, there's increasing evidence that the sanctions are having an impact. Food prices are soaring.
Some people can't even afford enough bread. Inflation is very high and our salaries can't keep up with it.
The young children of Iraq have taken to the streets in carefully orchestrated protests against the embargo. Saddam Hussein is now calling on his supporters throughout the Arab world to do the same. The president is hoping his supporters outside the country can convince their governments to ignore the UN sanctions. But so far, at least, no nation, Arab or otherwise, seems willing to resume trading with Iraq. Doug James, CNN, Baghdad.
In parts of Europe, some are calling it a disaster waiting to happen. In Czechoslovakia, for instance, the problems of the past are now threatening the freedom of the present.
Also ahead, a freedom fighter whose fate is unknown has been awarded the Nobel Peace Prize.
There's something special about driving a Daihatsu from Japan. Whether it's the reliability, high mileage, and comfort of our affordable Daihatsu Charades, or the versatile performance of our rocky wide-track 4x4 with the widest track in its class, you'll feel like the whole town is going to light up and really take notice. It's how we make them. Daihatsu.
Contact lens wearers. Now you can save up to 50% on the same brand lenses your doctor prescribed by ordering through Lens Express. Bosch & Lomb, Wesley Jensen, Seba, Johnson & Johnson, and all other brands. Daily wear, extended wear, tints, colors, bifocals, torics, gas perms, and disposable lenses. Delivered by Federal Express directly to your home or office from America's #1 shop-at-home contact lens replacement service. All lenses are 100% money-back guaranteed. Join the thousands who are saving real money and time by ordering their contact lenses direct from Lens Express. All we need is your doctor's name and phone number. We'll obtain your prescription and provide you with the exact same lenses at substantial direct-to-you savings. So for your next pair of lenses, call the lens replacement specialists, Lens Express.
For our free catalog, call 1-800-582-9900. That's 1-800-582-9900.
These are some of the world's most respected brand names, known the world over for quality and credibility. In a recent poll, only one television network finished among the leaders, CNN.
Beginning next year, Soviet citizens are free to move where they please. On Monday, a government committee ruled that the current residence permits are unconstitutional. The permits, which are needed to obtain food coupons, dictate where citizens can work and live. They were instituted by Joseph Stalin to control the influx of citizens from the country to the city.
According to Soviet news agency, Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev will meet Tuesday with the presidents of Serbia and Croatia. The leaders of the two warring Yugoslav republics are to travel to Moscow for separate meetings with Mr. Gorbachev. President Gorbachev is trying to mediate an end to the ethnic fighting in Yugoslavia. There's no word yet on whether the presidents will meet with one another in Moscow. A European community relief convoy is still unable to deliver supplies to the embattled Yugoslav city of Vukovar. The convoy was turned back Monday at the suburb of Marcini. EC officials blame the delay on both Croatian forces and the Serbian-dominated Federal Army. This comes as continued fighting is reported in Osijek and other Croatian cities. More than 1,000 people have died in fighting since late June, when both Croatia and Slovenia declared their independence from Yugoslavia.
For years, those who lived under communist rule in Eastern Europe had no idea what was really happening. Among the horrors coming to light, the pollution. A new public opinion poll in Czechoslovakia shows the people are very much aware of how serious and dangerous it is. The Times Mirror poll was conducted for the people and the media. It found that 96% of the residents believe there should be stronger regulations to protect the environment. And even though they are suffering economically, 2/3 say they are willing to pay for more environmental protection. In association with that poll, CNN Special Reports has been traveling through Eastern Europe, exploring a region overwhelmed by barriers as it tries to change direction. CNN Special Reports correspondent Larry Lamont takes a look at one of those barriers and how the people of Czechoslovakia are dealing with it.
Anna Tiha watched communism crumble in Czechoslovakia in 1989. Her hopes for her family soared. But now, freedom is being threatened by an ugliness the Iron Curtain once covered up. Anna, her family, and the people of Czechoslovakia's northern Bohemia district endure it every day. And every day, following a long ride to downtown Teplice, the mother of four visits a victim of the ugliness, her 14-month-old twin son, Karl. His lungs damaged by an infection linked to pollution.
We miss him terribly at home. I thought about leaving this area, but still I believe doctors are able to help my son. But if it would be his only chance to improve his health, I'm ready to leave this area. I think if the Communist Party had handled this, the environment, we would not be in such a terrible situation right now.
So terrible, parts of Czechoslovakia, Germany, and Poland form a triangle of environmental horror, possibly the worst in Europe. The communist regime did virtually nothing about it. I stood up, ignored the findings of its own scientists. But as the power of the government faltered, small concessions were allowed to appease those alarmed by the dense pollution. Public address systems blared on days when pollution levels were extremely high, warning residents to stay indoors. It only scared the people, made them restless. At this giant coal-burning power plant, the government installed a Soviet-made system of pipes and magnesium to clean the air. It took 10 years to construct, but never worked. The power plant continues to pollute unabated. Those now trying to deal with what the communists left behind feel contempt.
These people were immoral people who were looking only for their own profit at the expense of the people of the Republic.
Just how much expense is slowly being discovered as scientific studies suppressed by the communists are released. In Czechoslovakia's most polluted districts, there are more miscarriages, birth defects, and mental disorders. 60% more children are born weighing less than 5.5 pounds. Adults are living 15 years less. Respiratory disease is common. The discovery of abundant supplies of brown coal in northern Bohemia decades ago triggered the ecological disaster. the land was stripped without concern for erosion or replanting. Thousands of acres looked like the surface of the moon. The concentration of power plants and factories next to the mines caused an environmental overdose. Almost half of the pollutants in Czechoslovakia are in northern Bohemia. Thousands of acres of pine forest are now graveyards. Ecological disasters, killed by pollution, acid rain. Crops have high lead content. Open chemical dumps are located next to farm fields. 70% of the rivers in the country are dead. Chemical plants dump into the water without regulation. A substance the color of deep purple flows daily from a chemical plant near Teplice into a tributary of the famous Elbe River. Scientists say the more than 700-mile-long waterway is mostly chemical waste. The petrochemical plant in Litvinov, maker of petroleum products, is among the worst polluters in the area, but intense public pressure is slowly making a difference.
Recently, a law was passed that gives public offices the right to close the plant if the damages to the environment would be so bad that the plant would not be able to pay for it.
This oil waste has been here since World War II when this plant was constructed. But a contract is being signed to clean it up. Why now, after all these years? Because the people in the region now have the freedom to say, we don't want any more pollution. In Teplice's town square, where some buildings are black from pollution, where a stoplight in a store window connected to a computer gives updates on air quality, people are becoming informed and becoming vocal.
I am thinking of all these restrictions, like keep your windows shut or don't walk along the street. But these kinds of restrictions are against people's liberty, freedom, and rights.
I have trouble breathing, and all the treatment cannot help me. I think the coal mine should be shut down, then the power stations and gas plants.
The outrage in northern Bohemia has not escaped the attention of Czechoslovakia's respected president, Václav Havel.
As the people are beginning to be affected, they are putting pressure on the state to pursue environmental concerns, and I believe this is a very good thing.
These men are organizing the pressure, some of them activists, even under the communist system.
When I was a boy, there were huge forests. It was really enjoyable to spend some time there. But when my two boys were 2 and 5 years old, the forest started to disappear, and I was deeply concerned.
The activists regularly test water and air in the region to measure progress, and they've successfully engineered new anti-pollution laws. But the costly cleanup has been slowed by a faltering economy.
Economic ministers try to make as much profit as they can by spending very little money, and they consider money for ecology unprofitable.
The struggle between the economy and ecology is symbolized here, a former Soviet army base 18 miles northeast of Prague. Businessmen would like to convert the abandoned base into a profitable private community, but no one can live here until the environmental damage from careless Soviet military practices is cleaned up. Huge quantities of gas and oil have leaked into the soil for years, contaminating the groundwater and threatening one source of Prague's drinking water. The government is being forced to finance the costly cleanup. But with not enough money to go around, priorities are being chosen very carefully.
Environmental thinking is still encountering some resistance, and it will not be easy to go ahead. We cannot just stop producing energy. We are talking here about a process that will take time.
Taking more time is not what Anna Tija wants for her family. Under communism, she was told to sacrifice for the future. It is not what she expected to hear in a democracy. Larry Lamont, CNN Special Reports, Teplice, Czechoslovakia.
Our special series of reports, Europe on the Brink, continues Tuesday with a look at a nation that still has strong ties to the past and is filled with fear of the future, Bulgaria.
Just be yourself, Dorothy. I'm sure my parents will love you. Just don't discuss politics.
My head.
And I'd forget about the first husband.
Where's my Anison?
When you've got a splitting headache, reach for Anison. Anison relieves headache pain better than regular strength Bear or Bufferin.
Glad you're feeling better, hon. They're here.
Anison, strong pain relief for splitting headaches.
Hi, I'm Lee Trino. I'm very proud to be the first spokesman that Motorola has ever had. You know, I've been playing golf for an awfully long time. It doesn't make any difference what you take up, whether it's working a computer, building a telephone, playing golf. The quality has to be there. The durability has to be there. And the people that are making this telephone, they've got to be proud of what they're doing. You know what I'm proud of most of all? Is it's made in the good old USA.
Planning. Where'd I get the capital to start this business with my daughter? By investing for the long haul. And forget full commission brokers. I called Charles Schwab. Munis, mutual funds, blue chips, and I saved plenty with Schwab's low commissions. Every day I tell my daughter, think long term. Make your own decisions. Be your own man.
For a free Schwab Fact Kit, call 800-257-1257.
The Nobel Prize for Economics is expected to be announced in a few hours. The Nobel Peace Prize was awarded Monday to Myanmar dissident leader Aung San Suu Kyi. Myanmar is formerly Burma. Suu Kyi has been under house arrest since 1989 for her pro-democracy stance. CNN's Mike Chenoy reports.
Aung San Suu Kyi was the symbol of a democracy movement which challenged nearly 3 decades of dictatorial rule in Burma. Daughter of the man who led Burma to independence from Britain in the 1940s, she emerged in 1988 as the leader of nationwide demonstrations for democratic change. But in September of that year, the Burmese military launched a ruthless crackdown. Thousands of protesters were killed in the streets. But Aung San Suu Kyi continued to speak out and attracted growing support from the Burmese people. In mid-1989, the military placed her under house arrest behind this walled compound in the Burmese capital, Rangoon, where she remains to this day, out of public view, but very much on the public mind. Last year, her party won a landslide victory in parliamentary elections. The military, however, refused to honor the results. Instead, repression in Burma has intensified, and the ruling junta has come under increased international criticism for its violations of human rights. In awarding her this year's prize, the Nobel Committee said it hopes to lend support to Aung San Suu Kyi's nonviolent campaign for democratic change in Burma. Certainly, the prize will provide a much-needed morale boost to Burma's badly battered democracy activists. As for Aung San Suu Kyi, given her conditions of detention, it is not even clear if she is aware of the great honor she has been given. Mike Chenoy, CNN, reporting.
The Fourth Party Congress in Cuba ended Monday with delegates re-electing Fidel Castro party first secretary. Hundreds of thousands of people gathered in Havana to mark the close of the Congress. Delegates also chose a new 25-member Politburo and a new, younger 225-member Central Committee. Mr. Castro told the crowd the Cuban communists will find ways to save the country, to save socialism. Haiti's interim prime minister is issuing an ultimatum to depose President Jean-Bertrand Aristide. The new government is willing to negotiate the terms allowing President Aristide to return, but if no agreement is reached in 45 days, an election would be held without him. Mr. Aristide was forced out of the country last month in a military coup. The interim government says it wants to find terms the military and Mr. Aristide can agree upon for his return to power.
Taking a gamble on the American way of life. Just ahead on Worldwide Update, a lottery for potential U.S. citizens.
This is a McDonald's commercial, take one.
What's hot today?
The hottest part of the McDonald's is the drive-thru. It's like fast, fast, fast.
Why do people come back here?
Because we have great low prices and people like that.
Great service day or night?
We're a lot quicker than other places for one thing. I'll even put a clown nose on for them.
You guys better than those guys down the street?
Oh, yeah!
We run circles around those guys down the street.
What do you do when you make a mistake?
Fix it.
What's the funniest thing anybody's ever asked you in the drive-thru?
Can I have it to go? Whatever it takes.
That's McDonald's today.
On November 1st comes the motion picture event of the season. Dustin Hoffman, Nicole Kidman, Lauren Dean, Bruce Willis, Billy Bathgate. This film is not yet rated.
Campbell's heard your healthy requests.
Low cholesterol,
Less salt.
but lots of taste.
Here's our answer. New Campbell's Healthy Request ready-to-serve soups. All the great taste you want without some things you don't. New Campbell's Healthy Request. And healthy.
Now available from Turner Home Entertainment. The greatest motion picture ever made is now. Even better. Orson Welles' crowning achievement, Citizen Kane, as you've never seen it before. Available at Walden Books.
Now for a quick look at some other pictures from around the world.
And they deal with celebration and desperation.
A dozen young children listed for sale in a catalog found in Germany. A ring of criminals was reportedly selling its human merchandise to childless couples in France and the Netherlands. Berlin police say most of the children were bought from their parents for up to $7,000, but some children had been kidnapped. 4 alleged members of the baby-selling network have been arrested.
U.S. green cards are the highly prized tickets for immigrants seeking to become legal residents of the U.S. Only 40,000 cards are being offered in a lottery by the U.S. State Department. Desperate immigrants are deluging the Merrifield, Virginia post office with their documents. Some applicants have sent in more than 1,000 petitions each. Postal officials expect to process 15 million in the next 4 days.
Well, the man who discovered America 500 years ago got his annual parade down New York's Fifth Avenue. The marching bands in the Christopher Columbus Day Parade kept a brisk pace in chilly temperatures. Former Yankee slugger Joe DiMaggio led the traditional Italian-American celebration. That wraps it up. This edition of Worldwide Update. Thanks for being with us. At the CNN Center in Atlanta, I'm Rick Moore.
And I'm Dave Michael. CNN Sports Late Night is next. That's just ahead. Van Earl Wright is next ahead, too, to tell us what they'll be covering. Van Earl.
All right, Dave, we've got some rather unusual, unique, and seemingly strange baseball action to show you from Game 5 of the National League Championship Series. A great fourth quarter of action in Monday Night Football, and a super story on a legend from college football, Eddie Robinson. All that and more coming your way.
I really couldn't find anything that really worked or looked natural until I seen a commercial on Hair Club for Men. And I thought, well, why don't I send away for the brochure?
Our booklet contains a comprehensive discussion about hair loss, Hair Club's non-surgical strand-by-strand method, and our latest innovation, the Polyfuse method, which literally fuses top-quality human hair to your own hair.
When I went to the Hair Club and I got my system, it really gave me more ways to be able to do my hair, and I could do it in more of a 90s fashion, and that made me feel a lot more comfortable when you're in clubs and, you know, wanting to ask people to dance, and you don't want to look like you're 40 when you're 24, 23 years old.
Once I had the process done, now I can be spontaneous. I can swim when I want to and not worry about my hair until dry. My hair get out, catch some rays, and the wind doesn't affect me anymore. I don't mind the wind at all.
And by the way, I'm not only the Hair Club president, but I'm also a client.
Time magazine called him the master funny man of the age. Now, for the first time ever, the legendary king of comedy and music is captured on video in the best of Victor Borge.
Pardon me, madam, are you laying eggs?
Recorded live, this collector's edition of Priceless Comedy is a must for every Victor Borge fan.